The concept exploration provides an opportunity for students to experience the unit content in an interactive way. Exploration allows students to examine and inquire about a concept. This process allows students to engage in critical thinking to arrive at their own conclusions, which builds a stronger foundation for their learning. As a teacher, it is important to not skip over this section by telling the students directly the conclusion. Learning is a process, and concept exploration is an important part of the process. The concept exploration component in the student edition and teacher edition were designed to be used in conjunction. Depending on the unit, the activities are used as an introduction to the concept, the review of a concept, or a follow-up to instruction. When both components are utilized for instruction, students are led to a better understanding of the unit focus, and it offers teachers the opportunity to address any misconceptions or confusion before students begin small group or independent activities. As you plan for instruction using the teacher edition, you will see that the activities provide a recommended grouping, the time the activity will take, and coding for critical thinking traits, depth of knowledge, and revise Bloom's taxonomy. The teacher edition provides instruction, points to reinforce, and questions for debriefing the concept exploration activity. Most activities suggest formative assessments that afford teachers a window into the level of student understanding. In Level 4, Unit 6, the teacher reviews with the students how to model 4-digit numbers with base 10 blocks. Then students use base 10 blocks to explore the relationship between adjacent place value positions. They should discover that each place to the left has 10 times the value of the place to its right. Students complete the concept exploration page in the student edition, describing a pattern in the place value relationships. This page ends with a question marked with the critical thinking icon of link. Once direct instruction of the concept is completed, the next step is to formatively assess students' understanding. The teacher edition provides the question and suggests student groupings and the time it will take to complete the formative assessment associated with this activity. In this unit, it recommends 5 to 10 minutes and suggests that students use a parking lot activity to reflect on their understanding of the concept of each place value as 10 times the value of the place to the right. By using the concept exploration components in both the teacher edition and the student edition, engaging in effective instruction is easily within your grasp. As a former math teacher, I know how vital vocabulary is in math. On assignments, benchmarks, and the North Carolina end-of-grade test for mathematics, students are required to read and understand academic vocabulary. In my experience, my students understood the process required to solve a math problem, but what they didn't understand is what the question was asking. Being able to read and write in math is just as important as understanding the computation. Since the skill is so important, we wanted to make sure that we dedicated time in our materials for students to work with and develop their academic vocabulary. Both the student and the teacher edition suggest vocabulary that is essential in the instruction and the student mastery of the unit concept. The teacher edition provides a list of vocabulary that correlates with the unit's focus standard and offers a vocabulary activity that will take between 10 to 15 minutes and should be done whole group. Once the vocabulary activities are complete, the teacher edition provides a formative assessment that will help gauge each student's level of understanding. Lastly, the teacher edition also provides a list of literature that supports the unit concepts. These can be used to introduce, reinforce, or extend the unit concept. These are all common titles that are likely already in your school library. We have just done the work of gathering them into a list for you. A comprehensive literature list can be found at support.mentoringminds.com, and this would be a great resource to share with your campus librarians. The student edition allows students one more interaction with the unit vocabulary. By reinforcing the terms using whole group, small group, or individual activities, students can better navigate the, at times, challenging unit vocabulary. These activities go beyond simply writing down the definition. Students are challenged to apply their vocabulary knowledge to complete a task. At the end of the vocabulary activity, students will find another critical thinking opportunity. Here, students reflect on the communication trait and explain why the meaning of words helps you communicate. If you would like to post any of these vocabulary terms on your word wall or make flashcards for students, then make sure to check out our Mentoring Minds app where we have grades 1 through 8 vocabulary cards. Now that your students have been introduced to the concepts and they are comfortable with the vocabulary, we want to develop understanding. Concept development sections are found in both the Teacher Edition and Student Edition. The activities found in the Teacher Edition provide you with a variety of options, so you can choose which activity works best in your classroom. It is important to go through these activities ahead of time during the planning to determine materials you may need, the time needed to complete the activity, and what optimal grouping is suggested for the activity. If an activity calls for a graphic organizer, then make sure to visit support.mentoringminds.com to download one of our many free graphic organizers. Let's look specifically at Level 4, Unit 6. You're provided a menu of 3 different instructional activities. You can choose to do one or all 3. It is important to informally assess your students' knowledge of a concept as you work through a unit. You do not want the first assessment they take to be at the end of the unit. By giving formative assessments throughout the unit, you gather important information from your students that will help you drive future instruction to meet their needs. A formative assessment follows the list of instructional activities. In this unit, the teacher distributes 4 number cards to students. The numbers have 1 digit in common. Students order the cards by the value of the common digit. The teacher asks questions about how the students determine the order. Teachers may use the information collected during the activity to address student misconceptions and to drive further instruction. The concept development in the Student Edition supports the instruction found in the Teacher Edition by offering strategies, tips, examples, and practice with this unit concept. For this unit, the chart shows the value of 5 in different place value positions. Students then have an opportunity to try similar problems on their own in an open response format. This page is designed as an interactive discussion tool for teachers and students. The example given at the top of the page can be a great reference for students in the classroom or parents or caregivers who wish to assist their child at home. The concept application page in the Student Edition is an opportunity for students to apply what they've learned. This can be done as whole group, in pairs, or individually, followed up with discussion. The Teacher Edition equips you with some examples of guiding questions that can be used to review the items in the Student Edition. This gives you the opportunity to model thinking and the process of answering questions successfully, with hopes that modeling will instill those practices in your students. Let's dive into Level 4, Unit 6, and look at the guiding questions that are provided for item number 1 in the Teacher Edition. For this item, teachers are given 4 questions to help students understand what makes an answer correct or incorrect. By providing this back and forth conversation, students are able to identify mistakes in their thinking or validate their answer as correct. Finding the solution to a problem is a process, and we do not want to skip over this important process by simply giving them the final answer. I believe that Ralph Waldo Emerson says it best. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. The questions provided in the Teacher Edition allows your students to see the journey they should have gone on to arrive at the correct destination. Make sure to wrap up the debrief with the 2 questions marked by the critical thinking icon. This is a great way for students to reflect on their thinking. Now that you've modeled your thinking, students can apply and discuss what they've learned in the concept practice page of the Student Edition. Similar in format, the questions offer reinforcement of the unit standards. Motivation Station is an engaging and fun way for students to apply what they have learned. Many teachers will use it for centers, an anchor activity, closure activity, or sponge activity. Usually in a game or puzzle format, this is a fun way for students to apply what they've learned. In this Motivation Station activity, students are using their critical thinking skills to find the mystery number.
Take 1, marker.